A few years ago, getting a job in tech was easy. You get paid a lot of money, fresh out of college. Companies are knocking at your door asking you to work for them. But that's not the way that things are working right now in 2026. AI is eliminating or changing the needs for a lot of companies. Guys, listen to these layoff numbers. In the first 4 months of 2026, we've seen over 72,000 layoffs in tech. In the entire year of 2025, there were 124,000. In the entire year of 2024, there was 153,000. So what are we seeing? This might be one of the biggest tech layoff years in my lifetime or in your lifetime. And what's happening? We're seeing the SaaS apocalypse where AI is creating a lot of disturbance with investors. There's a lot of uncertainty. And, we'll talk about this here a little bit more here in a moment, but tech companies are leveraging and using AI more and more every day in order to fill in these entry-level roles. And again, we'll talk about that in a moment because it gets worse, guys. Not only are companies laying off roles and going AI first, but they're actually putting a freeze on hiring too, which is absolutely crazy. Just a few weeks ago, the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, said, quote, "The thing that I think a good number of people on the committee are concerned about is just the very, very low level of job creation. Effectively, there's zero net job creation in the private sector," end quote. Effectively, there's zero net job creation in the private sector. That should be kind of terrifying for you because, if you're one of the tens of thousands of people in tech that have been laid off, it's hard to find a job now. And when there is a job posting, it's just getting absolutely inundated with applications. We'll talk about that more in a moment, because the reality, guys, is that these kind of like generalist entry-level roles appear to be disappearing, basically, especially at the entry level of the career ladders. And again, we're seeing this across the field. I was talking about this in a video a few weeks ago about how attorneys, they don't really need paralegals and anymore. And we're just seeing this across the board. Entry-level roles are being completely cut out. There's roles that I used to pay people. Here's an interesting story. When I first got into media and marketing production, we would pay about $100 per blog post. Then it went down to $50. Now, using AI, I can have a blog post written for $5, maybe less. It's just the cost of the tokens and then maybe 5 minutes of my time. It's absolutely bananas what is possible right now. And that's just one example. There's obviously hundreds of different ways that AI is impacting the way that works. But again, that was typically a copywriter role. And those types of roles just don't exist. The types of problems, guys, I keep saying this over and over. If you've been subscribed to the channel, you would know the types of problems that you've solved in the past are not going to be the types of problems that you solve in the future. I mean, guys, having this expertise and experience is really important to get hired, especially in tech. And the problem is, if the entry level of the career ladder gets cut out, well, how do you actually get your foot in the door and get that experience? And by the way, you absolutely, at the very minimum, you need to have AI skills. How are you going to get hired at a company if you're like, I don't really like using AI to write code? Immediately, they're going to say you're out. Guys, anybody I know that is in tech is using AI to write a substantial portion of code. And you might say, oh, it doesn't write code as good as a human. And I get that. But they're doing it, and I'm building out sites, I'm building out programs, I'm using Claude Cowork, and I shared an example in yesterday's video about how I'm using AI to write code for prompts and database management and so on and so forth. It's absolutely nuts. And I mean, yesterday, to go into yesterday even a little bit more, we talked about how Snap, the parent company for Snapchat, claim that they use AI to write 65% of their code. Check out this video, guys. This is going to blow your mind. They laid off 1,000 people and then said that AI is writing all the code for their platform, which is absolutely crazy. But here's where it gets worse. And this is the problem I don't necessarily see enough people talking about, and that's the oversaturation problem. Guys, over the past several years, 400,000 people in tech have been laid off. What do you think they're all doing? They're all going to get hired again, and they're all fighting for the same jobs. Job boards are flooded with applications. We've covered this also. Subscribers would not be surprised to hear this. Guys, you go to a job board to try to get hired, there's 300, 400 people that have already applied for that job within 24 hours. How do you actually stand out amongst that? And by the way, some of those some of those job postings are ghost listings, which aren't even real listings. These companies are just trying to build a backlog or a database of potential employee hires in the future. So you've got ghost listings. You're competing for a very limited number of spots. The vast majority of the people that are applying are AI bots. They're using AI bots to apply to dozens, if not hundreds of jobs per day, assuming that they're out there. And then all those applications are being reviewed by AI bots. It's absolutely crazy. And you really need a different approach. If you're trying to get hired these days, you definitely need a higher approach. Because of that, I have partnered up with Course Careers, and I just love the way that Course Careers handles this. They have different courses for tech guys, IT, all sorts of different in-demand job roles. But what I like about Course Careers is that they have a big emphasis on getting hired quickly. Most of their courses you can get through in just a few 4 to 12 weeks. And as soon as you're out, they give you the exact steps that you can take to get hired. Their focus is on hiring. They even have a marketplace of employers on the back end who are looking for good students who get through their program. So anyway, shout out to Course Careers. I really like what they're doing over there to try to really focus on the skills part and updating their stuff quickly. Yes, but also on getting you hired. Because at the end of the day, if you're gonna learn a new skill, why are you learning a new skill? Because you wanna make some money. You wanna be a man who's relevant, respected, and financially free, right? That's what we all want. No UBI for me, no thank you. No thank you. But part of the issue, guys, isn't just learning AI. If you're in tech, it's not necessarily about just learning AI or implementing new recruitment tactics and getting a message. All that stuff is important, but part of the issue might be the field itself. I've had many career changes in my life. I'm insurance agent to podcast manager, to small business owner, to marketing, to SaaS, to YouTuber, to HVAC technician. I've been a delivery driver. Shout out to all my delivery drivers out there. I see you. Tough job. Delivery drivers don't get enough respect, by the way. It is a tough job. A lot of wear and tear on your car. You smell like pizza all the time. Anyway, long story short, shout out to all my delivery drivers. But guys, the point I'm trying to make here is that the problems you solved in the past are not the problems you're going to solve in the future. You got to go to careers. You got to go into jobs where there's demand. And right now, there is a huge labor shortage in the construction industry, specifically in the trades like electrician, HVAC, plumbing. There are not enough people out there. So, while you're fighting for scraps in a tech career, you might actually get your pick of the litter if you're in one of these construction fields. We're going through an absolute data center boom, and we've talked about this in the past. There is so much construction happening. I mean, we're talking hundreds of billions of dollars going into constructing these data centers. And I know what people say, hey, you have a job for a few years and then they're gonna stop. They ain't gonna stop building data centers, man. They're gonna keep building them out. And once they've built one, once it's 5 to 10 years old, they're like, all right, we need to update it. So I just think there's a huge opportunity in constructing data centers, but it doesn't stop there, guys. We have a huge need for homes. If you've tried to buy or look at the housing market recently, you can type in the comments below. There's not enough supply for the demand. In fact, Zillow reports that we are short about 4.7 million housing units. There are not enough homes to buy. So what does that mean? You gotta build more homes. And I know the area that I'm in, they're building like crazy. They are building like crazy. And then what happens once a home's built? Over time, it breaks down. You need to call out the electrician, you need to call out the plumber, you need to call the HVAC guy. There's just no end to that. And additionally, these are the types of jobs that aren't gonna be replaced, at least I don't think anytime soon. You can't use AI to go out to someone's house and fix a condensing unit. You can't have, it feels to me like we're a long way from robots going out to people's homes and using their fingers to like swap out a fan or run a new electrical line, right? I just don't see that happening for quite some time. At least, and you might disagree with me, put that in the comments below. By the way, like the earning potential is pretty high. While most electricians are going to make around $65,000 annually, plus the benefits, health insurance that your employer gives you, top earners are well into the six figures. So to me, that's a pretty interesting field to get into. And the sky's the limit if you are entrepreneurial and turn your trade into owning your own business, having your own time. I think also, maybe even if this is not the field that you're going to focus on completely, having a side hustle is pretty big. I know a buddy of mine who does side hustle, and he's got a lot of experience with kind of like some with handyman type skills, and he just takes handyman calls. He's building up his book, he's building out his CRM, he's getting referrals and references. Having that type of thing going is really, really important. But that's not it. I think it's also important to note that again, I was in the HVAC world. I went through a training at a technical college, cost it cost thousands of dollars. And I had to be in a classroom for 7 months before I could even get hired. And after the 7 months, I got hired and I was in the, working with a company, I was doing entry-level stuff. So I was like, go to trade school, learn something for 7 months, and then get hired. It was a long time. Again, this is one of the reasons I've been pretty impressed with the Course Careers program. And Course Careers does handle a lot more than just trade skills. I mean, they're doing medical sales, supply chain, logistics, tech. Again, all with this emphasis on learn the skills as quickly as you can. Let's get you to, in the SaaS world, we call it an MVP, a minimum viable product. Let's get you to a place where you're hireable, a minimum viable product. Let's get you a course career certification completed, and then let's get you hired. That is the focus. And, I think about what I did in HVAC in 7 months. They can get you there way quicker, 4 to 12 weeks, man. That's crazy to me. And again, I would just encourage you guys, if you're on the fence, you've been thinking about it, if you're not totally thrilled with where you're at, if you're not sure about the future, go check out Course Careers. They got a bunch of free careers that you can take a look at. You can go through their course, see, do I like this style? Is it comfortable? Is this a good fit for me? Go check it out for free. There are tons of hot, in-demand careers, so you're not fighting for scraps with these other guys. They have this big focus on speed to hire, like I said. And even if you decide to pay for one of their courses, which are very affordable, they're like $500 for a course, like $500 to invest in the critical learnings to get hired within a few weeks is, I don't know, to me that's a pretty good offer. But even if you're not satisfied with it, they have a 14-day guarantee. So even if you try it, you've got this risk-free guarantee from a company that's been in the industry for over 6 years. So anyway, shout out to them. Thanks for sponsoring the channel. Thanks for sponsoring the show. Thank you for being a part of helping guys like us remain relevant, respected, and financially free as we move into the AI revolution. Guys, I hope you appreciate the video today. Smash the like button. Type your thoughts below. What do you think about this topic of competing and finding new positions and new ways to position yourself? Not everything needs to be AI related, but if you're gonna be on a computer, you gotta have AI. Let's just face it, you gotta be into that. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.